Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about my 6 strongest cards from Jumpstart 2025 for Commander. So these are a number of different cards that are coming with the Jumpstart 2025. Keep in mind that these are looking like they are going to be exclusive to this set, not going to be reprinted in Foundations or anything. So your best bet is, buying them as singles, I guess. I don't think, going and buying a Jumpstart 2025 box is necessarily the best idea, unless you're going to be playing it with people. Like, this is a very fun way to get people into the game. You just take 2 of these Jumpstart packs, shuffle them together, and then you get to play against someone who does the same. They are only balanced against each other, keep in mind. So, if you grab them and shuffle however many of them together, and then go versus someone with their commander deck, you will probably get your butt handed to you. So you're better off kind of, just playing them against each other. Or if you just want these specifically for your decks, just make sure you go out and buy the singles for them. In fact, there's a link down below where you can buy them from TCG Player that will also support the channel. So you've got that option there. So there's some great new support for some different odd/tribal decks, which I'll put down the end as honorable mentions. I don't think that they were worth kind of mentioning in the top 6 because they were like, very, very niche kind of thing. These ones here are less niche, I think, more useful overall. And there are some very, very strong effects on some of these that I think are going to be very useful across a lot of decks. Keep in mind as well that with the previous Jumpstart, some of the cards in them have been very, very expensive because they're very, sought after. Ashcoat, for example, is still sitting at that $47, $48 mark. Bruvac, was more expensive and then dropped down and then went back up after Ravnica remastered because it's just so useful. There are so many different uses for these cards that it's just kind of, people are going to be wanting them. They're going to be quite expensive potentially down the track. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting them, that they may go back up in price later. So first up, we're going to start with Deus, Elvish Archdruid, which is honestly a bonkers one. So elves have so many different ways that they're able to tap themselves down, and he has, whenever this creature becomes tapped during, he gives all elves, any elf gets the ability that when they become tapped during your turn, untap it, put a +1/+1 on it. Now, this can only trigger once each turn, but if you flicker him and he comes back, he gives that ability to them all again, just like how Nadu does. It's crazy. It's actually pretty bonkers. At least, it's limited to once per turn on him, unlike Nadu that was like, twice per turn, which created like, longer game plans. This should be a bit easier and it should be a bit better. And, you won't likely run him as a commander, which was one of the issues with Nadu because, you don't have all that much flicker stuff within green itself. But you could run him, with Lathril. That makes it so that when you tap 10 elves and herself, all of them will then untap, and then you get to tap them all again. With Lathril, this is bonkers. You can also run Galadriel as a flicker commander, and a few people run her as a flicker commander. And if you, run her, flicker, and then flicker Deus, and then give that all back to people, then you can tap down all your mana dorks again. They all untap, get the +1s again, and boom, you're like, just absolutely going crazy with +1 counters everywhere, mana everywhere, etc. Next, we've got Gorog, the Red Reaper. Now, this is obviously, he's aimed towards Warrior Tribal. He, can be a Warrior Tribal commander, but he's just a kind of useful dude everywhere. He has, whenever one or more warriors you control attack a player, target creature that player controls become a coward. It doesn't say until end of turn. They just become a coward forever. They are scared forever. Cowards can't block warriors either. There are some other warriors that are like, commanders that people are using anyway. Or you could just have Gorog be the only one there. He does buff up warriors, so he's obviously, aiming for that warrior tribal stuff. But he also has that removal for other people's tags. So like, you come in, you remove my elf tag from something, and now all of a sudden, all of those synergies that I got built up for my tribal deck don't work anymore because he's a coward instead of an elf, which is, I guess he's just abandoning being an elf. Goes and becomes a human or something. So a couple different synergies you got here, like Lovisa, Cold Eyes, that synergize as well with the Barbarians, Warriors, and Berserkers, buffing all them up. Or you've got Gorog, Fury at a Comb, which makes it so that you get that additional combat phase after a land drop. So, you know, that kind of synergizes well with the fact that you want to be attacking more, which will proc Gorog more, which means you create more cowards, which means they all get stronger. He's also a warrior. It just, you know, spirals out of control from there. This is, you know, the best one, though, is asking you guys to subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you share the video around, all that kind of stuff. You know, one of the best places you guys can come to for Magic news and talking about the new cards and, you know, talking about all the stuff as well, talking about the pre-cons, all that kind of stuff. You know, anyone down in the comments will tell you that this is an amazing YouTube channel. I don't toot my horn very often, but that is one thing that I'll toot my horn about, is that I have made an amazing YouTube channel and, you know, lots of people like tuning in. So, yeah. Next one here we got is General Crete, the Bolt Bringer. So she is really, 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 really bonkers in any little weenie token decks. Anything that's going to create a whole bunch of 1/1 tokens, she is going to be crazy in there because she's essentially an impact tremors on a stick that also procs herself. She does not need to be in a goblin deck because she has whenever one or more goblins attack. She is, if she's the only one attacking, that's the most value you will get from it. Unless you've got like additional combats and stuff. And then she's tapped for the additional combats. I don't know. Even that, you know, not all that great. But you just need her. That's all you need. She's going to be crazy by herself. So some decks you could work in, you know, the Balin deck. I need this for my Balin. Arabella, the new one from Duskmourn, really crazy with that because of the fact that she makes it so that you're going to make opponents lose life and, you know, you gain life. And then because you've got additional things attacking as well, you could stack the triggers so that this trigger happens before her trigger, which means you have an additional creature that is attacking to get that additional proc off of. Really crazy with her. She is creepy as all hell. Next, we've got Generous Pups. At first, I kind of misread this because I thought it was like any other one, which is when you put a +1 on it, put a +1 on another creature. But no, it is each turn you can proc this, and it is each other creature you control gets a +1. So you have, you know, something attacking. There's like a new warrior that attacks, and when it attacks, you can put a +1 on something. You put a +1 on this, and now all of your creatures get an additional +1. If you have ways to get +1s on each other person's turn or whatever, this can get bonkers really quick because now all of a sudden you've got +1 on your turn, that guy's turn, that guy's turn, that guy's turn. You've got, you know, +4, it's like 4 +1 counters each turn cycle. Yeah, I need this for my Miss Bumbleflower deck. Because of the fact that she's wanting to play cards on other people's turns as well, and, you know, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, you put your +1 onto your Generous Pup. It's getting bigger. Everything's getting bigger. You have Shelleye and Halar in another deck, and now all of a sudden, you know, you're dealing combat damage based off of the 5 +1s that you put out because you've got 5 creatures out, and you just burn someone down so quickly in a turn cycle. Let's say you've got 5 creatures out, right? So you're putting 5 +1s out on each person's turn. That is 20 damage that you can deal to someone straight away. It's going to wipe someone out. The next one, this is probably the most crazy one, which is Scytheclaw Cub. So it has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1 onto target creature. And then if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, double the number of +1s on that creature. This is insane in any deck that will be getting +2, like 2 or more landfalls per turn. Additional landfalls past the second will go back to just doing the +1 though, unlike like Zamone, for example. But in a Zamone deck, this is going to be crazy as well because, you know, you put +1 out and then you're going to double them and, you know, then double them on another person's turn. And because that's one wanting more than one land drop. Any green deck, realistically, any green deck or any Simic deck is going to be having more than one land dropping per turn. If you're not getting more than one land dropping per turn, then, you know, you probably need to add some additional stuff in there, or you've built a completely different deck, who knows. But just having so many +1s going off in a bristly build deck as well, you can double with the Scytheclaw Cub, and then you can spend that mana to then double them again. 4 times +1s on each turn is just going to be, yeah, you're running away with the game then. Next, we've got Tycho the Patient Avalanche. First of all, he's clearly the best on this list because he is a Ninja Turtle. Straight up, a Ninja Turtle. he instantly becomes the best on this list. Look, he's even got the little Ninja Turtle mask going on. He's just crazy. No, but he is actually a crazy great card too, in my opinion. He procs off of ninjutsu and flickers, making it so that you scry one, then put a +1 onto him. So it's just a really great payoff for those decks, and an additional way that you get those procs of, hey, something left the battlefield without dying, boom, now I'm going to get to scry and get a +1. Then also on top of that, as well as the fact that a lot of things like have, whenever they deal combat damage, draw a card or something, you can then draw that card from something that you've just scried. He also adds the fact that you're able to make it so something can't be blocked, which helps get those ninjutsu hits in and other combat damage based strategies. So like something like Yuriko. I don't think this is going to be in like those CEDH Yuriko decks, but first, if you want to run a different commander because everyone sees your Yuriko and instantly removes this, run this big Ninja Turtle. Or, you know, you could just have him in your Yuriko deck, and now all of a sudden, you know, you're getting those ninja procs more often. He is, again, a ninja, so he works well with that ninja tribal. Or you could run Felix 5 Boots here to make it so that you get those combat triggers. He's Panharmonicon because he makes it so you're dealing harm additional times. So you get additional procs from those, which is really, really cool. So these are the honorable mentions that I mentioned very briefly before, because of the fact that they kind of bring in tribals that haven't really existed much before, or haven't had great commanders before, or just a really great commanders for them, even if they had good commanders before. So like Ophelia, she is a commander for a snake/Gorgon deck. I don't believe, unless I'm going crazy, there has previously been a Gorgon commander. So this is a new kind of commander that you can bring in. You can run snakes with it too, because, you know, there's not really many Gorgons, or, you know, as many Gorgons as you could run. So you get like an additional kind of different option there. You got Thurid, Mare of Destiny. Now, obviously there's been like a horse commander before, which was like, what's his name? Shadowfax. And then there was the guy who gives away Build a Pony. But this one here works with your Pegasi, your unicorns, and your horses. It's got flying and lifelink, so all of those have like procs on whenever you gain life and stuff. Boom. And now you get to copy them all. Boom. It's just a really fun commander there. Now, obviously we've had insect tribal commanders before, but we've never had one that works with insect, leeches, slugs, and worms. Now, I don't think that Fumulus is going to necessarily be a full commander by himself, but you could potentially run him in like a Toxrill deck or something like that, one that's going to create a lot of these tokens. Shrufus is the first Saproling that has ever existed on a card that is not a token. But he also is a great Saproling commander. Obviously, you know, we've had kind of ones that work with Saprolings before, like Slimefoot and Squee and stuff like that. But he is a Saproling that works with Saprolings and just, you know, creates a whole bunch of more Saprolings. And then finally, we've got Slinza the Spiked Stampede here, which has one of the hardest arts I've ever seen, and I absolutely love it. He is a beast commander who makes it so your beasts are cheaper to cast. Each beast enters with additional +1s on them, and whenever him or another creature with power 4 or greater enters, you get to fight. Beast is a tribal that is very, very interesting, especially because they removed some of them at some point. I think like they switched them around and stuff, so I'm going to be very interested to see how people kind of build him. I'm honestly considering adding him into my Wolverine deck, because I think that he would be great in my Wolverine deck. Unfortunately, Wolverine doesn't enter with power 4 or greater, but some other stuff in there does, and I've got stuff that procs off of fight and everything. I don't know, maybe he's not best in there. Maybe I need to make just a full Gruul beast deck that is just easy and just goes big and stuff. Maybe my son would love that, actually. Yeah, Jazzy would probably love a big beast deck that's just throwing beasts at people and hitting them in the face. So let me know what your thoughts are on the new cards. Obviously, you know, our honorable mentions for new commanders for unsupported or low supported tribals before, and then our actual top 6 in here. I think this generous pup is going to be the one that's going to go insane, as well as a Scytheclaw cub, but I absolutely love all of these. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have a great day and goodbye.